Think about what we do. Should we sell things that are non-viewable, or should we sell things that are viewable? It's like, it's a bit of a duh. I'm amazed it's us having to take a lead.
But what is viewable? How do you
define
define that?
Well, the original definition in the industry was things were, if the ad was served to a technology, that counted as an impression. And we're saying, well, no, if a person can't see it, it's not viewable. So it can only be that it's viewable. And it was great that the industry and certainly some of the industry bodies got together to a degree of viewability standard. But even the standard they agreed, if you think about it, so we're saying for video, half of it's in view and it plays for 2 seconds, but it's not initiated by the user and there's no audio. That's a bit like me driving at 70 miles an hour down the road and there's a poster site under a bridge covered in pigeons and saying that counts as an impression because I saw it. So I think this sort of completeness of a view is important, and I don't think the industry alignment's important, but at GroupM we didn't think it was good enough. So we've actually got a higher standard, and then we're using that to work with both our clients and the vendors to make sure we truly make sure that the consumer, a consumer, not a bot, has seen the ad enough to initiate it, to hear it, and to consume the majority of it, and it can actually be seen within the frame of their screen, not 19 images down in a corner with 1 pixel showing. That's not viewable. So viewability, really, really important. If you can't see it, you can't react to it, you can't buy the stuff. So viewability, #1 issue.
But so much, there's so much consumption on social media where videos are in the feed.
Yep. What was that?
What do you think about?
What did Carolyn Iverson say? It's like 1.7 seconds was the average consumption of a video in the feed. It's interesting. I'd love to see how human brains are changing to be able to process that amount of information in 1.7 seconds. That's about the equivalent to, I've just turned the page of a magazine showing my age, as to how many seconds. So you expose and then you decide to read. But think about magazines for a second. As you're turning over the pages of Vogue and you've got 90 ads in a spring edition, how much time are you spending on each page? But it's when you see the thing that's relevant to you, you stop and then you consume it. So I think there's a difference between exposure and engagement. And as one of the panelists talked about today, viewability is not an engagement metric. It's available to be viewed metric. It's the old-fashioned opportunities to see. So I think there's still a lot more to do, but you go from first, I can't engage with it if I can't see it. And in the video content, if I got 1.7 seconds, but I like it, I'll go in and spend more time. So I think we've just got to understand the duality of those metrics. Does it stop my attention? And then do I engage with it? Or do I just, as they say, white slip and move on to the next thing? But it's really important, it's fundamental to what we do. Can I come back to one thing that we talked about people? I love that metric, a CPH. And nobody said a CPH today. Cost per human. You recalculate what your audience is on a CPH basic, and you're actually saying, I'm thinking about the actual humans that watch it, and therefore on a basis of that I'm taking out my bot and my fraud exposures, and I'm getting around to real people, and then tied into the targeting work, who are the H's you want, what's the right target, the demographic, the time and the place.
Is this something you guys are going to roll out,
no,
or is this
it's just the reality of stripping out the fraudulent activity in the bots. Because as you say, bots don't buy your products. So instead of buying a bucket full of impressions and not knowing how many of those are humans and how many are non-human, can I just buy the ones that are human?
How would you do that?
Well, that's part of the technology that we do now in terms of the filters, the approaches and protocols, as well as technology to strip out the sources, do for, a very simple thing. Many of the long tail sites aren't really real, and then as soon as you click on them, they've disappeared and they come up again. Apparently, there's a certain village in Romania that's buying more Ferraris than anywhere else in Europe right now, but they also use a lot of electricity and buy a lot of servers. So the criminals have got really good at this stuff, and it's about time that we actually made sure that we put control back in the hands of the advertisers. And so we can only buy things that are proper media being exposed to real consumers that we want with a proper message. And then certainly within GroupM, we've got a way of doing that both with technology, but also operating practices. Very, very simple. If there's this site that somebody recommends for a client saying, I must use dogandcatinagarage.com, if I pick up the phone and phone them, does a human answer the phone? Is it real? How do I verify? So from our point of view, we want to sort of shorten the list, verify the people we work with, establish proper terms and conditions, and then make sure what we deliver to our clients is a relevant audience in the right format for the right price. with a high CPH. So in terms of actually reaching humans and not being caught up with fraud. Very, very important issue.